What's up, Buff fans? We are back with another edition of the CU Sports Report Pod. It's the bye week. Woo! We made it. Well-deserved break, and the Buffs are 4-1 after their very dominant game against UCF, 14-point underdogs, and they came out with the highest point total and a half and the highest point total in Deion Sanders' 2 years here, 48 points against UCF's. Sorry, I'm like 21 points, which was a really maybe it's just surprising in some ways because I mean you had UCF winning this game. I had it much more closer. I had Colorado winning, but what we saw in UCF was a team that has put together week after week after week and played in all three phases, scored on defense, scored on a rush, scored on passing. The offense was working overtime and really doing a great job in run blocking and things that they were really struggling with in weeks prior and put together a quality game, another 100 rushing yard game with Isaiah Augusta, Dallin Hayden, who came back and scored his first rushing touchdown. Michael Welch got into the end zone too. Really pleased with this game, and they really held UCF to the number one rushing offense in the country to their lowest rushing total this season, and it was a fun game to watch. Unfortunately, I definitely had FOMO not going to UCF, but I didn't have FOMO being in Florida because Florida is just like it's just like so humid there. But overall, I think it's such a great place to be, especially in the bye week. You have Kansas State, who is also 4-1 coming up. But Troy, what did you see from that UCF game?
Yeah, they're in a good spot. You said surprising, and I agree. In a pause, not surprising in the sense that you thought that they couldn't win the game or that they couldn't, compete with UCF or that, but even the most, I think even the most optimistic people about this CU team couldn't have foreseen them just completely shutting down UCF and really blowing them out. And UCF moved the ball some, especially in the second half. But look, they were 2 for 5 scoring points in the red zone. Obviously, Preston Hodge came up with the big pick early on that kind of reset things after Shedeur Sanders started the game with an interception. They had the forced fumble late in the game in the red zone that Cam Silman Craig took back to the house. They held this UCF team to 4 yards per carry, and I think they only rushed for 177 yards total, which was less than half of their average coming in. So that was big. And that's what this was about to me. It was about the run defense. This was the test. Look, we know that North Dakota State ran the ball pretty well. Nebraska ran the ball pretty well for a half, and then CU kind of bowed their backs and held them off in the second half. And then Baylor ran the ball with the quarterback really well, but with the running backs, they couldn't really do anything. So this was kind of the test to say, all right, how real is this run defense? We've all seen the PFF grades and everything coming in was really high on this front seven against the run, and they passed really with flying colors. UCF ripped off a couple of chunks as they do. They're a really, really good running game, but the linebackers were still playing downhill, still playing really physical. It came back to bite them on the long touchdown early on, but overall, over the course of the game, that is a positive trait, and it makes it really hard for teams to run the ball. The other thing with the run defense that really stuck out rewatching the game was the edges played the mesh points really, really well. UCF does a lot of that read option stuff where they leave the edge man unblocked and the quarterback can give it or keep it. And especially Arden Walker, who had a phenomenal game. That was great to see. They were really playing the middle really well. They weren't over committing one way or the other. And KJ Jefferson was a little confused. He made some bad reads, and they were really able to neutralize that ground attack.
Yeah, and this was the run defense and just overall the defense's best performance that they put together all season with 60 total tackles, 5 sacks, 13 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, and five pass breakups and 2 forced fumbles that were just it throughout the game. It seemed like they just got better. Jalen Westner got a forced fumble and
Yeah,
Shanks.
he played really well.
Yeah, and that's a guy that we don't really see a lot of, but
They're going to need him too because Trevor Woods and Jeremiah Brown have redshirted. So Jalen Wester all of a sudden becomes like the next guy up at linebacker.
yeah, exactly. And seeing him get more integrated. And also, I wonder, I'm curious to see why. I mean, I know Trevor Woods was getting switched to those dime packages. Maybe he wanted a bigger role, but he was still a big game changer within the Buffs these past 2 years. He's probably, I wonder what his decision was behind that. But when I was just so, I mean, this Travis Hunter and like the Heisman campaign, it's like when you see a player playing both sides at his ability, it's like how can you not consider him as the best college football player and consider him like for the Heisman? I know right now it's kind of Jalen Milrow and Ashton Genty and like Cam Ward and all really good players, but I just feel like one of the big storylines, of course, was Travis hitting his Heisman pose. And when you've watched him and just throughout all of these weeks, he has been doing things that even Charles Woodson said that he hasn't even done in his college career, and he won the Heisman. It's like maybe we'll be seeing ourselves in New York. It's baffling to me right now that he's kind of a front runner right now, but he should be like the unanimous Heisman winner.
Yeah, I think he's at the head of the pack right now. Probably him and Genty, who is so awesome to watch.
Yeah.
Both of them are. And then Jalen Milrow had a big day, obviously, against Georgia. But I think that Travis, I mean, what he's doing week in and week out at this point, like if CU gets to 9 wins and he's continuing to do this on both sides of the ball, then it would be hard not to give him the award just on the value that he's bringing on both sides. The celebration was awesome. The celebration was cool. The interception that he did the celebration on was
Crazy.
incredible. And it was
Crazy.
probably like the fourth craziest interception that he's had since he's been here, which is um pretty wild. But he basically he's in a soft squat and he basically covers three guys for the first part of the play. Um, there's a guy deep behind him. There's the guy in the flat that the ball ends up going to, and there's a guy coming on an inbreaker. And see, he's a little lucky that Jefferson didn't see the deep guy because they blew the coverage behind Travis, I think. And but he's like 10 yards behind the flat receiver when the Jefferson starts to throw the ball. The jump on the ball and the ball skills to make a diving play there, it's a ridiculous play. But that's the value that he brings as a corner. He's consistent down to down. He had a one-on-one pass breakup down the field against Kobe Hudson. That was an excellent rep. Really nice play and coverage in the first half. But the ability for him to make a completely game-changing play at any point on defense. Obviously, we know on offense he's going to get his catches, he's going to get his yards, he's going to find his way into the end zone plenty. But when you're a threat to force a turnover on any play on defense, and the fact that he's able to do it so often, even as offenses kind of go away from him. Obviously, we see a lot of teams going to DJ McKinney, a lot of teams going at Preston Hodge. Nobody really wants to test Travis. UCF did it a little bit more than I think some other teams have, but that skill is so valuable for this defense.
Yeah, other teams are really scared to test Travis. And one thing that I wrote about before this game in our roundtable is the Kobe Hudson UCF's best receiver against Travis Hunter. And Travis Hunter covered him pretty well with only 2 catches and 39 yards. Kobe did have that long catch for 23 yards, but overall, it's like they were unable to get their best receiver and their running game. They held RJ Harvey to 77 yards, which is very rare for him as he ran over 120 yards in the last 3 games. And it was just overall just really, really impressive defensive performance. And Colorado's red zone defense is ranked fifth in FBS at the moment. They averaging a 61.9 scoring percentage. It's what Robert Livingston is doing. It's like it's really, really impressive. I mean, when you are a first time play caller, but you can just see the defensive mind that he's playing with and how he allows everyone to play so freely and dominantly. And this game was really from front to the back of the defense was one of their best performances all season with the turnovers, with the tackles for loss, with the getting to the quarterback. I know that was a big point of emphasis for Coach Prime going into that game, and this is a great spot to be in defensively. Switching to the offensive side, I thought the offensive line played pretty well. I think the right side of the line is where a lot of problem areas are. This game they had Philip Houston back and Kareem Harden at guard, Hanks Linkus, Tyler Brown and Jordan Seaton. Tyler Brown and Jordan Seaton doing well on the left side. But what was positive about the right side of the line, they did really well with run blocking and down Hayden's touchdown. They opened up that seam for him in order for him to get to the end zone on that 14-yard score, which was positive. And it wasn't, and they only allowed 2 sacks the whole game. Definitely much less than usual in what we saw against Baylor. It's kind of just like up and down. What kind of front are they facing every week? But it was one of those get back games again to say, okay, the offensive line can do it, and they can provide adequate protection. I think it's just dependent on who is the opponent on the other side. However, I think they are taking a step in the right direction, and I wonder if we're going to see some more mix-ups as we go. But I think after that performance, it's going to be Houston, Harden, Zlinkus, Brown, and Seaton.
Yeah, Khalil Benson was out with an injury, so that's why Harden was in there. So I'm curious to see how that uh shapes up moving forward because like you said, they played really well. And this was a game where they had to, right? UCF, this was like a it was like a weakness on weakness coming in, the CU offensive line against the UCF front. And CU did their job. They held up really well. They only gave up 2 sacks. Like you said, Shador Sanders had time in the pocket pretty consistently all day. UCF tried to bring a lot of pressures up the middle, which is where CU they did a lot of zone blitz stuff where they dropped the ends out and brought pressure up the middle, which is where CU's been a little weaker this year, and the Buffs held up really well, so that was good to see. And then in the run game, man, they're doing some cool stuff in the run game, which I really thought I would never say about this team. It's fun to watch. They're doing a lot more pull stuff now. Tyler Brown is such a good run blocker, man. He is such a good run blocker. He gets up to the second level. He gets on guys. It's really hard to get off of him. For guys up front, they run right off of his hip a lot, and the tackle that he's blocking just can't get off the block. Or when he gets up to the second level, the linebacker just can't get off the block in time. He really, really is a good run blocker. They're doing a lot of as I knee my desk. Um, they're doing a lot of guard and tight end pull stuff where they pull two guys across the formation. That's new and different. That's fun. On the down Hayden touchdown that you mentioned, it they pulled Tyler Brown and they brought Savell Smalls across the formation as well. And the strong safety is flying down trying to fill, and he just skips like 2 gaps wide because he's trying to read the pullers and he misses the gap and Hayden cuts it back and there's nobody there and he scores a touchdown. But that's some of the stuff you get when you're doing this pull stuff. You get these defenders are having to use their eyes, they're having to be more disciplined. And then if they're wrong, you can break off chunks like that, like Dallin Hayden did. So that they're doing some really cool stuff in the running game. They are blocking it up really well, and the running game overall on Saturday was really, really that was the run defense and the running game were the two most positive things from Saturday for sure.
Yeah, two problem areas that we recognize, and they showed up to the task. And it was just I was like sitting on my couch. I'm like, wow, like they're beating the brakes off of UCF right now, which is a team that was projected to be at the top of the Big 12. They were 3-0. I mean, they didn't play. They played TCU and then their two kind of lower division opponents. But the 14-point underdogs, everything was kind of against Colorado going into that game, and they really flipped the script on a team that is pretty good and a team that is the number one rushing offense. Just so many positives pulled from this game. Something funny that I jinxed during the game, it was like the end of the third quarter, and Will Shepherd had 99 yards, and I was like, Will Shepherd's about to have his first 100-yard game.
I saw that, and then he didn't catch another
I
ball.
know, and then he didn't catch one after that. But he was also, that was kind of his breakout game too, with the diving catch into the end zone. And really, I think the quote from him during that game was like, I'm back. And it was good to see him kind of every wide receiver so far. Maybe Jimmy Horn's kind of been up and down. He did have a good game. He had 5 catches for 41 yards, but Will Shepherd, this was like his game to show what he had to provide for CU. He was in the post game press conference and talked about his experience at Vanderbilt and said that I went to Vanderbilt, so that was definitely the most complete game I've ever played in my career.
Which is not a shot at Vanderbilt, guys. It's just the truth. He went to
It,
Vanderbilt.
yeah,
Vanderbilt doesn't
but
win very many games. It's just a thing. It's just a fact.
he was not wrong. And it is the bye week. So overall, great game. Any more takeaways from that game? I just thought special teams was better. Alexander Staniokovich kicked in the end zone a couple times, good kickoffs, freshman walk on, and he really showed up and it filled the hole that was much needed. Alejandro Mata made both of his field goals. I'm just thinking how far they were. 36-yard attempt and a 46-yard attempt. They were, and they
Yeah,
scored
Mata
on
kicked.
one, two, they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other drives. And at the beginning of the game, a drive that was 3 plays and minus 10 yards and ended with an interception. I was like, oh God, what is going to happen in this game? And it completely changed after that, and really impressed with the run. Yeah, like I said, the run defense, rushing, passing attack, still very great, and offensive line showing up to play an overall well-rounded and complete game.
Yeah, Mata kicked well. Jimmy Horn had the big punt return right before halftime that got him 3 points. So that was another big special teams play that directly basically put some points on the board. You mentioned the receivers, and this is all they need, right? Like we know that there's no way that Jimmy Horn and LaJohntay Wester and Will Shepherd and Travis can all have 100 yards in every game, but they need one other guy in every game that is going to be making a big impact other than Travis Hunter. And now they have three guys that can do it. We saw Jimmy Horn do it against North Dakota State. We saw LaJohntay Wester do it against Baylor. And now we saw Will Shepherd do it against UCF. His touchdown was an incredible throw and an incredible catch.
Oh
Truly it was a quarters. It was third and forever, and UCF was just in quarters, and it was truly a F it. Will Shepherd's down there
yeah.
somewhere. Throw, and it was right on the money. And Will Shepherd made a great catch in the end zone, so that was really great to see, especially after the drop he had at the end of the game against Baylor, in the heat that he was catching for that. So it was really nice to see him kind of have his moment and bounce back like that. But yeah,
Yeah, Colorado seems just unstoppable with a clean pocket. Like truly, they are so well when Shedeur Sanders is not scrambling for his life. So, Kansas State is going to be a great game. We'll talk about that next week. It is at 8:15.
it
You
looked.
like the 8:15 kicks. I personally don't like how late that is.
Yeah, 8:15 kick, guys. Come on. But
It's like so. It's just so late. I'm like, oh my
you
God.
watch football all day and then you can watch the Buffs to finish your day. Come on.
Yeah, I know that is a good point. But then when you're driving home down 36 at like 3 a.m., it's like
Doesn't matter.
you don't take 36.
It doesn't matter.
Some
It's
recruiting
gonna be a good
news.
game though. K-State looked really good. We'll get into this next week, but they looked really
Yeah,
good on Saturday as well.
Dylan Edwards revenge game. Even though he is in good terms with everyone else. I don't want to start anything, but Dylan Edwards will.
I think if you got Dylan Edwards off the record in a room by himself, I'm sure he's excited.
Oh yeah, true. So recruiting news, as it is the bye week. 3-star UCF DL commit Christian Hudson is taking an official visit to Colorado. Adam Gorney reported that this morning, and as well Byron Baldwin and Carday Smith, who both visited for the Baylor game. Byron Baldwin, four-star cornerback, decommitted from Indiana. So, and there, when you see all the recruiters, like all the Buffs recruiters tweeting stuff, that means something definitely went down. And Carter Smith, four-star OL, that is still committed to USC, is taking an official visit to Colorado on October 25th. So, some movement in the recruiting area, getting a three-star, four-star, and another four-star is really good, especially filling the OL position. I feel like Colorado always does well with those secondary guys and swaying them. It's like, look at this. Look at this. It's Deion Sanders. How can he not play for a Hall of Fame? One of the best corners to ever do it. It is an easy sell. So uh, more movement there. Should see maybe some commitments as it goes. I don't know
Yeah,
what's
felt
really going on with Julian Lewis. I don't know if that is still continuing to be. I mean, they're probably still pursuing him, but the way it stands right now, it seems USC is still pretty solidified. However, in this day and age of recruiting and NIL, there's a little movement there.
change quick.
Yeah, it could change. Yeah, it can change quick, and Colorado does need a quarterback. I mean, I've always like, I mean, like, I really wonder, like, I know Colorado is pursuing five-star talent and they want to have this standard. It'd be great to have Julian Lewis. But I look at a guy like Ryan Staub and it's like, he could do it. He could do it for Colorado next year, you know?
Yeah, I think that they will probably look for an option that's more dynamic. I think
Yeah.
that Stubb is kind of a high floor, low ceiling guy, which makes him a perfect backup, right? That's what you want in a backup. You want a guy that's going to come in and run the offense and he's not going to be a disaster and you can still run a functional unit. But at the same time, the high end talent is not there. I love it. I'm loving the Kyron Drones rumors as Virginia Tech's season kind of goes
South.
by. Um, because he and Shador have the same quarterback coach and they all train together with Cam Ward. Um, but yeah, we'll see what they do. It felt like that on the recruiting front. It felt like that Saturday was uh kind of the big statement that they needed. It's been a lot of talk about how small the high school classes are, and Deion Sanders can't recruit high school, and he doesn't want to recruit high schoolers. But now you see all of these class of 2025 guys that are interested in coming, and it felt like that Saturday was the big win that they needed. It's like the proof of concept. Like, okay, this program is really going somewhere. They've really gotten a lot better. They fixed the staff. They fixed a lot of their issues, and now you're seeing that reflected in the interest that they're getting from these 2025 guys. So that was great to see as well.
Yeah. Game changing game, yeah. And also like a like defining statement that they really needed to show the country that they are capable of being a good football team and showing the Paul Feinbaums of the world that there's some substance here and they can actually
Feinbaum was
do it.
eating
And
crow on Feinbaum
now
was
that,
eating crow on first take. I've never seen that before.
let me look at Big 12 standings. I know Colorado. I know they're 2-0 in the Big 12. The Army go? BYU 5-0, Colorado and Texas Tech is 4-1. Kansas
BYU
State is
is
four and
good,
one,
man.
1-1 in conference.
BYU is good, man.
Yeah,
They're impressive.
Colorado's not playing them this year though. Maybe next year.
No, they don't get BYU and they don't get Iowa State, who looks really good also. So that
Yeah,
was
Utah 1-1. Yeah, Colorado in a good spot. Great spot to be in them for the bye week. What are you doing this week with your time? A little bit more time off. I know you're going golfing today. Working
I
early
am.
Tom. Anything exciting you'd like to share?
Same. Football. I watch football on my on and off weeks. That is what I will be. That is
True.
what I'm excited for.
Yeah. Troy Seahawks finally lost. My 49ers finally won.
Defensive line's all
So
you
the
got, guys.
NFC West is all balanced again, even though the Seahawks are
Let
still
us get healthy,
the
guys.
best
Let us
team.
get healthy.
And
Wherever
next,
Geno Smith is in your QB rankings, he's too low.
oh yeah, I mean, I feel like DK is playing a lot better this year, but gonna keep rambling about this because I just really want the 49ers go back to the Super Bowl. Until then, the Buffs are in pursuit of a bowl game. They're 2 games away, and I think that this is the season that they do it, and it'll be so exciting. Great game last Saturday in Central Florida. It was raining a lot, but they avoided the hurricane and they avoided taking home an L and took home a very big win. So, thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.